How's it going? It's certainly been a while. Originally, I had a very different video with a far darker subject matter to be the one to break this 6-month thick ice. However, I think I'll save it for the next upload, because we have far more important things to talk about. Plants vs Zombies 3. Now, let me preface this by saying I've not actually been able to play any of the betas. This is purely a spectator's perspective, though I have been keeping a close eye on the progress of PvZ3's development, watching the gameplay of various different soft launches and keeping up to date with podcast forums and such. But I've never actually been in a situation to try out any of these betas. However, from what I'm observing, I can see a very similar story playing out. Firstly, to understand what's going on and why the way PvZ3 has taken shape recently raises concern, we need to look at the franchise's catalogue of experiences. Garden Warfare 1, a game that established some fun gameplay concepts, a shooter game comprised of two different teams of hero classes, all with their own variants. They would fight over a variety of maps and game modes. Sticker packs would act as this game's progression, how you would unlock new characters and customizations for those characters. Coins would be used to get these packs. The game features a load of characters, 8 of them being main ones, and the rest of them being variations of those 8 main ones. Each class and each variant for that matter played a certain way and fit a certain playstyle, though each character felt like they were merely suited for different playstyles instead of forcing you to play a certain way. It was a very casual and non-restrictive type of experience. You could play the characters however you wanted without really being punished. Garden Warfare 2 was a faithful sequel to this design. More classes, more variants, different maps, new game modes. It was an expansion of the original in every way, but it didn't compromise those original ideas. We still have classes, variants, the stickers are still here, though a few things were changed like the character upgrade system and leveling up, but these things were made for the better and still fit alongside those original ideas. Then came the last in this trilogy of shooters, BFN, which regardless of opinion changed just about everything from Garden Warfare 2. People were not a fan and it was discontinued a year later. For reference, Garden Warfare 2 was supported for 3 years, right up until BFN's release. The why is players not enjoying it, that feeling of it doesn't feel the same. It's not what players came to expect and love from those previous entries. The variants, sticker packs and upgrade system were all gutted, and all returning characters were heavily altered to fill a certain role, whether that be an attack, defense or support one. This change was a stubborn one. It tried forcing that team-centric gameplay, like an Overwatch for example. That casual do-as-you-wish type gameplay of Garden Warfare 2 was gone. Now, of course, the Garden Warfare 2 characters specialised in certain attributes, but it felt more done to suit your playstyle. BFN's characters were balanced to force that team play, with different roles, with the idea being that the team as a whole would work effectively with everybody doing their little part. But at least BFN didn't attempt to masquerade as Garden Warfare 3, and some of its elements branch into completely new territory for the better, but the multiplayer certainly lost a lot of goodwill from the previous games, and it was clear that people just wanted more of what came before, for better or for worse. Plants vs Zombies 2 was, as for all the issues I have with it, a very faithful sequel. You can't fault it on that front. The core of Plants vs Zombies 2 was an expansion of the core gameplay found in Plants vs Zombies 1, which were, defend the house from zombies, new plants and zombies would be introduced to spice up that gameplay loop. The zombies would get remixed from level to level, again to spice up that gameplay loop. This also leaves the door open to play around and experiment with the plants, as, especially towards the end of the game, you would have accumulated a lot of them. You have certain plants that counter certain zombies, and you have to be aware and plan accordingly. Also, zombies have multiple counters, so again, it was your choice how you went about defeating a certain level. Plants vs Zombies 2 expanded on this by doing more of these things. More plants, more zombies, and for added spice, some win conditions. They can cause a jarring difficulty spike, but that's neither here nor there. These win conditions nestled very nicely amongst those other core gameplay elements for more variety. Everything else from Plants vs Zombies 1 gameplay returns. Multiple zombie counters, the choose your own strategy, and more basic things like the resource management of the sunflowers. Like Garden Warfare 1 to 2, the core of the games remain the same. That gameplay the series was known for is still there. In comes Plants vs Zombies 3. Okay, so we'll go release by release to assess the issue. Soft launch number 1. Let's see what we're working with here. Before we get into this, what remained? Well, the idea of defending yourself from hordes of zombies is still present. Now for what changed. Firstly, the Sunflower, the most finely tuned and integral part of the tower defense strategy, was completely changed, now being a meter that would slowly fill up over time, instead of being something you have to manually place yourself, and deciding how many tiles you want to take up with something that can't attack zombies. This new system gutted the idea of resource management, which was one of the original game's core design principles. Having the Sunflower merely be a meter that fills up turns the game into an experience where split-second decisions are worth more than strategy. That's not Plants vs Zombies. The art style isn't something to note. I know people are up in arms, but it's not important. What's important is the gameplay. Other minor things were altered, such as the removal of lawnmowers and the switch to portrait mode. Would the game have worked as just a game in general? Yeah, absolutely. As a brand new mobile experience, this would have been fine. However, as a Plants vs Zombies game, absolutely not. Whatever this game is, it's not Plants vs Zombies. But okay, we have 2 more soft launches. Soft launch number 2. 7 months later, and to be fair, some very good changes have been made. Namely, the Sunflower is now back to its old ways. Also, the later water levels have differing water lanes with each new map, which is a change that appears as though it will work quite well, mixed in with those other elements. Kind of like the differing positions of the minecart in Wild West, or like the movement tiles in Frostbite Caves. It's there to mix up the levels a bit. The Cherry Bomb returns as a consumable power-up, which is one of those odd decisions. Also, curiously, they remove the ability to select plants, instead just opting to give you a selection of plants. Even basic plants like the Sunflower and lily pads would come and go, as in some levels the game would just give you a row of these already placed down, which I understand allows the game to create unique challenges. But what about the replay value? And what about those core gameplay elements established by the previous 2 games? This leaves no room for replay value, or even just playing how you wish, finding fun or min-max strategies. The Sunflower returning to normal is a relief, but this decision is still one that might compromise the experience. What is wrong with just giving us a casual sandbox to play around in? Soft Launch 3 remains very similar to the previous one, with a couple of new plants to play around with, but the core mechanics remain the same. These versions are soft launches, which is essentially a beta version of that game which is made available to certain users for a short time, so the devs can gather feedback and such. For effective feedback, the devs need to provide an authentic vertical slice of their game, so what we see is what Plants vs Zombies 3 is in its current state. Soft Launch 3 is a lot closer to that Plants vs Zombies experience that we know and love, but it's still omitting core mechanics that made that original title. I can't help but acknowledge the parallels between BFN, deviating from what worked and what fans enjoyed to try and be different, new and fresh. If it wants that title, it can't just abandon the core ideas of what came before. BFN shows exactly what happens when you do this. Again, I'm not here to state what's objectively good or bad, as like I said, that first soft launch could and probably would have made a fine mobile experience had it been in a different series. It's the same with BFN. Whether or not it's bad is up to you, but the removal of variants, sticker packs, and that free non-restrictive gameplay made the game something fans didn't enjoy. So, is history doomed to repeat itself with PvZ3? I worry yes, but PopCap's willingness to alter the game does fill me with a lot of hope. I'll have to check in next time they do a soft launch to see just how Plants vs Zombies it is.